Let's throw our hands in the air as we soar through the sky.
Yatta!
We'll catch the sun with your hand in mine, and if we work as a team, everything will be fine.
Yeah!
Oh, it's Cure of the What Now?
Let's henshin and start the show!
Hello, fellow confused body swappers, and welcome to Cure of the What Now, the only show where we know you can stay in your friend's body if you're having a good time. You don't have to switch back. It's cool. You can have it. You can go do all sorts of crazy shit. You could rob a bank.
What are they going to do? Arrest you? Not in someone else's body. They'll be arresting them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Kat. I'm the ghost host of the show, and I am trying my darndest to transform so I can fight this croissant, but I just can't quite seem to get there.
Oh man, what an evil croissant that is too. I'm definitely Joel, and I really think that dinosaurs are neat.
I have a suspicion.
Do you?
I have a suspicion that this is not Joel, even though it appears to be Joel that I'm talking to.
No, it's me. I love Songo. She's my favorite character.
And how do you feel about velociraptors? Joel's known favorite dinosaur.
Yes, of course. Velociraptors they're okay, but they're no Triceratops, you know? That's really what it's all about. Pete, you're messing it up. My favorite is the Triceratops. You gotta correct her. Oh no, my feelings are so powerful that we're swapping back into our original bodies.
That's weird as heck.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Here's my question, before we get into the succinct summary. Did outsiders see the colors when they swapped back into their original bodies, or is that only, like, for us, the viewers?
That was for us. That was a visual representation of their souls.
Okay, perfect.
Here's my question. Why did they have to get sucked into the aquapot to switch in the first place?
I mean, do you think that people could just swap bodies if they so choose on a random level?
Apparently. If they can swap back.
Yeah, we'll get into it when we discuss it, but I think there's a reason that swapping back worked differently than the initial swap of the bodies.
Okay, fair enough. So for this week, we've just got two announcements, and both of them kind of belong to Joel, so I'm going to let him take it away.
Absolutely. So for the last couple of episodes of Cure of the What Now, I have been talking about Kira PreCure a la mode, longest series title of any PreCure season ever. But what I neglected to mention was that if you follow me on Twitter, I am using the hashtag KiraKiraCotwin to keep all of that in a single thread. So if you want to follow my thoughts, you can just follow that hashtag, or if you see that hashtag, you know it's part of the larger thread. Can't believe it slipped my mind the last 2 weeks. Also, we want to extend a very Tropica Shining warm welcome to Trillion Bones, who has joined the crew on Patreon. And we thank you for your support, and we're glad that our content is something that you enjoy consuming.
Yeah, absolutely. We really appreciate consuming.
I don't know.
Are we a delicious cake? Are we a strawberry melon pan?
I am actually a whipped cream in the shape of a turtle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Whipped cream.
Yeah.
So Cure Whip is already taken.
Is it? Oh yeah, I guess it is, huh?
Yeah. So could you be like...
Cure cream sounds different. It sounds like something you would try to avoid.
No. Could you be like a caramel pecan turtle?
Okay.
And you could be like Cure cluster? That doesn't sound great either.
We'll have to keep thinking about it. But I also don't think that a turtle would best represent my animal. It was just the funniest one that I could come up with.
That's true. We all know you're an axolotl.
An axolotl mixed with an eye. If you haven't seen an eye and their weird freaky eyes and their weird freaky fingers, that's absolutely what I am on the inside.
Absolutely. So with that out of the way, we can kind of get on to our lead-in discussion question for the week, which I came up with. It was just kind of a riff off of your question from last week. If the Cures were going to cosplay as other Cures,
okay,
which Cure would they cosplay? It doesn't have to be a strict 1-to-1, so like a pink doesn't have to cosplay as a pink.
Yeah, of course. They would want to cosplay as someone who best fits them. At the same time, because Minori kind of wants to try and be a little bit more outgoing, it seems like, I could see her wanting to be Kirara from Princess, because Kirara is very kind of outgoing and very bold, and maybe that would appeal to Minori. Or maybe Minori would want to be one of the glasses-wearing smarty pants types, such as Cure Moonlight from Heartcatch, or Cure Mermaid from, again, Go Princess.
Okay, I could see that. What about for Manatsu? Is there a PreCure that just screams like super cool to you? Maybe Mana from Doki Doki.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
The only competent pink cure in the world.
See, I think Manatsu would love to be, I could see her wanting to be like Cure Milky or Cure Cosmo. I could see her being like Alien Life Tropica Shines or something like that. But I also think that being a witch would Tropica Shine. So I could see her wanting to be Miracle or Magical.
Yeah, I could actually, on that same note, see Minori as Cure Felice.
Okay, yeah, I could absolutely see that.
Would any of them cosplay as everyone's favorite cure, Cure Waffle? Are we doing that?
I don't know who would want to cosplay as him. I think that Manatsu would be the closest, but I just don't have a good enough feel for Cure Waffle's character as of this moment.
Okay, that's fair. I feel like Asuka, I think she'd be drawn to the really kind characters.
Okay.
Do you think she'd want to cosplay Cure Flora?
Yeah, I could see that. I could see Cure Flora. I also really enjoy the idea of her cosplaying as Cure Macaron. I think that, they're both kind of aloof in a similar way.
I like the idea of her cosplaying as Cure Chocolate because their hair is the same color.
Yes, I could see that too. And, I think similar character archetypes, like I think that...
They've both got big sister vibes.
Yeah, Asuka would enjoy being kind of the big sister Cure.
Imagine Laura cosplaying as Cure Princess, and when they're like, why? She's like, well, it had princess in the name.
Yeah, that's the closest to me being Mermaid Queen. Like, a princess is a step down from Queen, but I'll accept it as a stepping stone. One day I might become... I also think that Laura would probably pick characters that are, like, really... I don't know. Like, one of the first ones that came to mind was Cure Scarlet, because she herself is a regal, kind of good at everything princess, and so I think that really would appeal to Laura as well.
Yeah, Cure Macaron again for the same reason.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
All right, we've got some bits and pieces going on. Would any of the cures from like Hugto appeal to them?
Maybe. I don't really know much about the characters from that season. I know nothing about the bonus cures. I know a little bit about Cure Etoile or something like that. But I don't know enough to make a decision.
Okay, that's fair. I do feel like I could see maybe Minori enjoying Lulu, Cure Amor. Because she's kind of a robot and she's very numbers driven and a little reserved, and I could see her like identifying with that character.
Okay, so that's the older sister of those two. I don't know if they consider themselves sisters, but they're a pair that are always around each other.
Oh, they consider themselves gals that are pals.
All right, absolutely. Does that about wrap it up?
Yeah, I think it does. So do you want to give me a succinct summary?
Yes. It turns out that if a human goes into the mermaid pot,
the aqua
pot, at the same time that Laura does, they might switch bodies, and so Minori is Laura and Laura is Minori for this episode. They both enjoy being the other for a time, but then
Laura enjoys it a lot more.
Well, yeah, Laura's a lot more outgoing about enjoying it, and we can get into more about her character in a bit. They both enjoy it at first, but then when Crab with Abs shows up, Chongi Ray, and he starts wrecking havoc, they need Cure Papaya in order to finish him off, and Laura cannot transform in Minori's body, and Minori cannot transform in Laura's body, and so they swap back. We'll talk more about that in a second, and then they save the day. And that's basically it. It's kind of implied that Minori has learned to be a little bit more bold as a result of the swap, and also Minori is now much closer to Kururun, and Kururun loves her like 10 times as much as he did before the episode.
Because they spent so much time together. Yeah, absolutely. So did you like this episode?
Yes.
I remember you saying that you were really looking forward to the idea behind this episode when it was spoiled for you. So did it kind of live up to what you were hoping for?
Yeah, a bit. It's still, it's still kind of like a self-contained episode of like 20 minutes that doesn't really do a lot of legwork, but I enjoy the element of supernatural magic going on. You have a mermaid, so I'd expect more time to be spent underwater or finding magical trinkets. So I like the fact that this episode wasn't just like, oh, we meet a new club and the girls try to figure out how to do the club activity. It's something more magical and supernatural. How about you?
Yeah, I liked this episode a lot. You hyped it up pretty good.
Yeah.
So I will say I was expecting like, are we going to get the mid-season cure? Checks notes 7 episodes early. But not to say it. Listen, listeners, that was not a spoiler. If the mid-season cure comes out exactly on episode 22, I didn't know that was going to happen. I picked that because it usually seems to be between episode 20 and 25 that they reveal the mid-season cure if there's going to be one. That said, I had a lot of fun with this episode. I liked Laura's shenanigans, and I like that, like, Laura is not being entirely honest with herself about her feelings, and that's been kind of a through line of the series so far. But at the end, when Minori says, I'm happiest just being myself, Laura goes, haha, yeah, me too. And then she kind of like looks down at her tail. And she definitely does not seem like that was her sincere feeling.
Yeah, I've said this before. It feels like Laura feels left out, but she has a hard time admitting that. And, like in today's episode, the club activity was that they were going to help out the cheer club or something like that. And Minori obviously is a little bit more withdrawn, so she was going to like make the sign, but she wasn't going to cheer. And Laura's like, oh, if I could cheer, we would win automatically, or I would be the best cheerer, but she can't participate because she's a mermaid. So then when we see her become human, and she's Minori, she's running around, she's having fun, she's laughing, she's jumping, she's skipping around and stuff. So we've talked about, will Laura get legs and blend into the school, later in the season? And this could be an excellent moment of foreshadowing of like, yeah, she probably enjoys living in the water, but she probably also would enjoy feeling like she fits in better with these new friends that she's made.
Yeah, absolutely. I love watching her do like flips through the hallway and stuff. Like she was taking advantage of having leggies.
Yes. Strong sister vibes between Minori and Laura in this episode, because it seems like Minori is working on some kind of poetry or maybe her own, maybe like a song or a story or something. She has a journal, and Laura reads it as Minori, and Minori as Laura snatches the book away and has this embarrassed face and like, don't read another word. And that just feels like sisters to me,
Absolutely. I really like that they seem to be pairing Minori with Laura a lot. And I think the reason for that is it's hard to do things with the shy, reserved character type unless you have someone who is going to force them to do something.
Sure.
And so Laura and Minori are the perfect pairing, because then you can have a Minori character episode, but still have exciting things happening.
Okay, yeah, I get that. Now, Manatsu is also pretty energetic and pretty go-get-em. Do you feel that the difference is that Manatsu respects boundaries better than Laura does?
I do, actually. I was going to say Manatsu is more respectful of Minori. She considers Minori her senior, and so she treats her kind of with deference. And so if Minori was like, I don't want to do that, I think Manatsu would go, okay. Yeah. And that would be the end of it.
You tropic a shine in your own way kind of a thing.
Right, whereas Laura's a little bit more like, no, we're going to, though, is the thing. It's happening.
Oh, man. So, do you think... I don't know how to phrase this. Do you think there's a reason behind the Aquapot having this effect on them, like, today? Was there something about the way they were interacting with it or something about their relationship? Or do you think that it was just some random happenstance that they could do again some other time?
I'd have to rewatch the episode and pay attention to their interaction right before it happened. But I really do think that it was probably just a happenstance. The thing sucks things in. She happened to be holding it. Laura happened to be holding her. And it didn't know how to compute. There's a human in my box. So
yes, we did find out even when Laura was in Minori's body, she couldn't just go into the aqua pot. And I guess the trick is that if Laura is close enough to go in the aquapod, then the portal opens up and then Minori can get sucked in or something. I don't really know. I'm just wondering if this is going to be one of those things that seems like a one-off, and then like episode 35, they swap with like Chong-Yurei and learn something about, like, they infiltrate the evil base through the use of this weird unknown mechanic.
Okay, I dig that. I like your gift for prophecy. Were there any scenes or quotes that stood out to you from this episode?
Not that I particularly wrote down. Like I said, at the very end when they're doing the cheering, Minori has brought a gong and she bangs it as to, like, make a loud sound. And Asuka's like, where'd you get that? Have you become more bold? And she goes, I guess maybe I have. Or have I? And so I do think that something about the way they interacted either with each other or in each other's body helped Minori feel a little bit more comfortable being outgoing. So I like that.
That's cool. I like that as well. I'm having trouble gathering my thoughts. Do you feel like this episode kind of fit into the overarching themes of the show about not procrastinating and being selfless?
Not really. I guess there is a little bit of an undercurrent. It kind of felt like Laura was a little selfish in, like, let's not worry about how we get our bodies back. You know, maybe it'll just wear off on its own. And I think that, again, that might speak to, like, deeper character motivations where she kind of wants to be human or, you know, wants to fit in with the others. And so, you know, I think that she kind of put off transferring back. At the same time, it was like a random thing that neither of them planned, so I'm not really sure how well they could have tried to undo it. Although I really thought the obvious answer was, you know, they both put their hand on the aquapod at the same time and maybe it would open and they'd both go in and it would, you know, just do the same thing a second time and it reverses the process.
Absolutely. I would have liked to have seen Minori transform while she was still in Laura's body.
Okay,
like,
sure.
Papaya Laura could have been really funny, and they could have had a moment where, like, the person froze in their post-tension pose, and then they were like, this isn't right, and she just falls over.
I do like it when they riff off of the transformation sequence.
Yes, my favorite version of that is still the Tokuger. Why did we take so long to pose?
Yes. I also really would have liked Laura being able to transform in Minori's body and then being like, how do you do the eye laser thing? And Minori would be like, I don't know, you just do it.
You just feel it. You Tropica feel it.
Shout out to Laura in glasses. Really cute look for her. Minori was a bit more expressive with Laura in her body, and that was really nice to see. Also, when Asuka and Manatsu were helping out the cheer squad, they were wearing more like tracksuit, bodysuit type of things. Not quite the same as how you see it in American cheerleading, often depicted. But then Sango was in kind of the traditional outfit, and so you got kind of both ends of the spectrum, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually was going to comment on, Japanese teens don't wear kind of the weird cheerleading outfits that American teens do, but then I saw Sango and I was like, never mind.
Yeah, well, and I don't know much about Japanese culture. It wouldn't surprise me if they had different outfits for the same kind of events, you know, like the cheerleading squad or whatever. But I do know that in, like, My Hero, they dress in the American kind of way, and so I don't know. I assume that cheerleaders over there are inspired by us Westerners, and it's the same kind of outfit.
Okay, that's fair enough. What did you think of this week's Yarane Da?
It was kind of weird.
I did not care for it. It was a croissant, and it had the power to shoot croissants, but also to shoot out its croissant flap and roll Sango up in it.
It's kind of like a cartoon tongue. If you've ever seen, like, a Tom and Jerry or whatever, where, like, the dog will grab, like, Tom's tongue and then pull it out and then let go, and it kind of, like, flops or it rolls or whatever. It's a little bit like that. Honestly, the croissant monster kind of looked like a little bit like a poo, you know? Like, and I was just like, this is a little strange. Once again, the Zenzen Yarane Da and Chong-Yurei's appearance seemed completely unrelated to the rest of the episode. But, it is what it is. At least we got to see their cute victory bows again, and we got the full transformation sequence for Minori, which we haven't gotten in some time.
Absolutely. So that's kind of all I had for this week's episode of Tropical Rouge PreCure.
Wait, hang on. We have an important question to ask.
Oh, tell me.
What other characters do you think would be interesting or funny to see swap places?
I want to see Laura swap places with Asuka's love interest / rival, the student council president. And then Laura could have some moments of, silliness with Asuka. Oh, do you like it when I hold your hand, Asuka? Stop that. Get out of there.
Okay, that would be really interesting. How would they explain it to the president after the president swaps back? Maybe that's how they get their mid-season cure. Maybe the president of the student council is,
like always, they would lean heavily on gaslighting, so that didn't happen.
Damn. What are you talking about? Must have been a strange dream.
You had a bad dream. Yeah, exactly.
Man. I think that it would be really funny to see Manatsu and Sango switch places. I'm not entirely sure what led me to that line of thinking, but I just think that in the way that Minori and Laura are kind of drawn together as a pair, I see Manatsu and Sango as, the best friends, and, Sango was the first cure to join the team and that sort of thing, so I would love to see, a really hyper, Sango, and then kind of a little bit more, shy Manatsu kind of a thing. That'd be kind of interesting.
Okay, yeah, I could feel that. Have you noticed that Manatsu's family just seems to have kind of disappeared?
Yeah, and I mean, that's typically... Most PreCure seasons seem to either very vaguely mention the family or pretty heavily feature the family, and so it seems that Tropical Rouge has gone the they're not that important right now kind of route.
Okay, fair enough.
But I think that's about all I have for the body swapping technique.
Yeah, so we can move to something not completely different, but not this. Futari Wa PreCure. We watched episode 15 of that today.
What a weird slapstick episode 15 was. If you've watched Futari Wa and you don't remember exactly which episode was 14, which one was 15, basically they go on a little vacation to a lakeside kind of, not hotel, it's like a
traditional inn.
Yes. And they hear a legend about two knights that died fighting each other for the love of a woman, and they go, and then the suits come to life and they fight each other. But there's a lot of, there's a scene where Nagisa and Honoka, the Zakena has appeared behind them, and they're kind of, looking at each other, and they're like, did you hear that sound like the armor came to life? Yeah. Did you hear something shout Zakena in an evil voice? Yeah, I did. Oh no, could that mean? And they turn around and they go, the armor came to life! And it's just it was really Looney Tunes kind of logic there.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good episode though. It was cute.
I like it. We find out that Nagisa's little brother Ryota, who's my favorite little sibling character in all of these seasons that I've seen so far, but we find out that Ryota has a crush on Honoka. Of course he does. She's cute, and he's about the age where he probably thinks that any girl that isn't his sister is, that's kind of neat. They're paying attention to me.
Yeah, well, and that I think is a common experience for people with siblings. Their sibling getting a crush on their friends.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question. If Nagisa and Honoka swapped bodies, how do you think that would go? I feel like Honoka would really alienate Nagisa's friends. They don't seem super bright. I'm not saying they're stupid. They just don't seem, to have it all together. And I feel like Honoka might inadvertently make them feel stupid or might call them stupid.
I wonder if Honoka would actually be better at pretending to be Nagisa than Nagisa would be at impersonating Honoka. Because, one of them is very studious and can probably more easily kind of blend into the quote-unquote common people, but it would be a little bit harder for Nagisa to try and act like she's the top student in the class or something like that. And so I could imagine Nagisa being embarrassed in Honoka's body.
Yeah, she tries to do a science experiment and it goes wrong and she screams and one of the other girls is like, did you just yell Ari and I?
Yeah, I do really like that. Also, I do shout out, there's a scene where one of the suits of armor tries to cut Honoka, and she catches it barehanded, and you can see this look of did I do that? She's surprised that she has the strength to stop the blade, and Nagisa's like, oh my gosh.
That was so cool. I really enjoyed that. There was really no explanation as how the bad guy knew they were here. Like, they got there, and Nagisa said, there's sure to be a villain hiding somewhere, like in here, and she opens it, and the villain is there.
Like, in this random, like, cupboard type of a thing. But then she closed it too quickly to, like, register, and then when she opens it again, she's not in there because she's folded herself into a box that can't be seen from one side of the cat. Like, that's what I'm talking about. It's Looney Tunes logic. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But it was a good episode. It was all right, you know? It wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't my least favorite.
This one, yeah. No, it's definitely one of the more episodic series. Futari Wa is. So I'm beginning to think that the Kira Star Twinkle kind of style is a little bit more rare.
Is the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. There's something about the specific way that Futari Wa and Tropical Rouge are that is way more episodic than other seasons. You know, you could argue that Heartcatch is fairly episodic in, like, Monster of the Week type of thing, and you could argue about Healin' Good being that same way, but I would still rank, in terms of, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give Futari Wa and Tropical Rouge a 10 out of 10 for episodicness, and I would give those other two I mentioned, like, an 8, you know? And I don't know what exactly it is that makes me feel that Tropical Rouge is more disconnected. Maybe it's the fact that they don't get heart seeds at the end of every episode, and they don't have, like, a little progress bar that slowly fills up.
Could be. Okay. What club do you think the Tropical Rouge girls will be helping out next week?
Well, I feel like we are kind of rotating through characters. So last week was kind of the choral episode at the preschool, and then this episode was a body swap with Minori. So it seems logical to me that next episode will be an Asuka episode, which makes me think some kind of sports club.
Oh, wouldn't it be something if they were helping out the tennis club?
Do you think the tennis club is still around and she just left the club, or do you think that the club got permanently, like, disbanded or something?
I think it's still around, and I don't think she left. I think her partner left to be student council president. And so Asuka was like, you can't trust anyone to be on your team.
Maybe. I do think that it would be interesting if they wound up in a situation where a sports team, obviously a girls sports team or a mixed co-ed sports team, needed just one person to fill in, and maybe everyone's like, Asuka, clearly you are the right fit for the role, and she'd be like, no, I don't want to. And so maybe Manatsu has to try and fill in. Maybe Manatsu has a lot of energy, but she's not great at the sport, and when Asuka overcomes whatever her emotional hurdle is, maybe she'll join. The end of the episode will be her scoring a soccer goal or whatever, and the other three cheering from the stand or something like that.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I think that's a good theory as to what could be the next episode. I've got a crack theory for what the next episode is going to be for you.
Excellent.
All right, so picture this. Laura is sitting in the aqua pot, staring at her tail, and she keeps imagining the sensation of having legs. She keeps reliving being in Minori's body, and no matter how she tries, she can't stop fixating on this. And she looks out and she sees Manatsu sleeping, and she knows what she must do, and she manages to drag Manatsu into the aquapot so they switch bodies, and then she buries the aquapot with Manatsu in her body in the backyard, and she is Manatsu now. She has the legs.
They ask where Laura is, and she's just like, I don't know, she went to go buy some melon pan or something. She'll be back later.
And that has been your
do final thought. Outro goes here. Thanks for listening, everyone, and don't forget to Tropica Shine.
Bye.
Ha-ha! What a great episode of King of the What Now, your one-piece podcast that started from the very beginning and stars these two doofuses. If you want to follow us on social media, Twitter is the best place to do that. I am at KOTWN_pod.
And I am at Pirate Ghost Host.
Absolutely, yes. We share all sorts of thoughts on there, some related to the podcast, some related to other things. But you can also reach us through email at KingOfTheWhatPod@gmail.com, or you can also find us on Patreon. We would love some subscribers or supporters, whatever the technical term is.
Patrons.
So fancy and grown up. And you can find that at patreon.com/KingOfTheWhatPod. You can find all sorts of things like bonus episodes, and you get to see the full cold open candidates, not just the ones that make it into the episode. Maybe someday if I learn to draw, I'll put stuff up there. We're always looking for suggestions and feedback. And speaking of which,
please take a moment to rate and review our podcast wherever you get us from. So iTunes, Spotify, Scrivener, that's for writing. But wherever you listen to our podcast, take a moment to leave a review. It helps other people find us. We are so grateful to all of our listeners, and we couldn't do this without you.
Absolutely. Word of mouth is super powerful, so if you have a friend who likes One Piece and they haven't heard of us, just direct them to the latest episode. And if they hate us, they can tell us why. And if there's an actionable item, we'll try to please you. That's how this works. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.